This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV.
Welcome to What the Fork Wednesday, the stories that make you stop, blink twice, and ask yourself how this is real life. Logic has left the building. Let's begin.
Boss be rising, BBTV's igniting, turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel road to the neon dream, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling when she hits go live, everybody feels it.
All right, y'all, get in here. Let me tell y'all something. Some days we come in here and we laugh. We get a little petty. We side-eye situation and then we keep it moving. But today is one of those days where you just sit back and go on hold. Because what in the entire fork was that, okay? Because we are diving into the moments in music history that made people stop mid-bite, mid-sentence, mid-life, and just stare at the screen like we did not just witness that with our own two eyes, did we? Yeah, we did. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those moments that, they don't need a remix, don't need a breakdown, total virility, okay? Don't need a think piece right away. They just hit you and leave you sitting there like, yeah, we're going to have to talk about that, because music is supposed to be controlled and right, rehearsed, polished, packaged up nice and pretty so we can enjoy it. Every now and then, somebody forgets that script, throws the whole plan out the window, or life just walks up and says, not today. And what you get is something real, something raw, something that doesn't fit in a neat little box. And those are the moments that stick. Those are the ones that follow people for years. And honestly, those are the ones where even if you didn't see it live, you heard about it. And if you didn't hear about it, well, honey, get out of your closet, because there's a life out here, You went back and you watched it, right? You replayed it. Like, what? Did they really just do that mess? Did that really happen like that? And today we are not holding back. We're not sugarcoating. We never do. We're definitely not pretending these were just little situations. No. These are the ones that shifted rooms, shifted conversations, and shifted how people saw artists in real time. And you know what? Some of them are funny. Some of them kind of confusing. Okay, most of them. But some of them are really heavy too. But every single one of them had us collectively saying the same thing at the same time. What the fork are you doing? And if you've ever had one of those moments where you just knew something was off, something didn't sit right, or something went all the way left or right, when it should have gone the other way, then baby, let me tell you something. You already are in the right place, because today we're not watching history. Okay. We're reliving the moments that made it unforgettable. All right. So let me load up this first picture, because we're going to get into this right now. I'm fired up today. Can you tell? All right. Let me slide on over. Whee! And let me tell y'all something. Okay. Because this right here, this is one of those moments where you don't even need context at first. Just, what this is about. You just need to sit in the confusion, because I promise you, the entire world was sitting there like, did she really do that on live stage with actual microphones and people watching, cameras rolling? Because, see, we're talking about Jessica Simpson here, okay? Ma'am, that Jessica, and she is standing there next to Jewel. Now, if you know anything about Jewel, you already know the tone. And come on, she's from Texas, so it got to represent. But the control, the whole vibe is very intentional, very precise, very singer, not play, not karaoke night at the bar after 2 margaritas. Well, maybe. Okay, so no, this is the kind of voice where you don't just walk up and freestyle unless you know what you're doing, right? So picture it. They're on stage together. This is supposed to be a moment like a real musical moment, right? Two big artists collabing, okay? And instead, we got, oh God, baby, what we got was confusion with a microphone because Jessica decides she is going to jump in and harmonize, if you call it that. Now, listen, I am all for confidence. I support it, I celebrate it. I will clap for it all day long. But confidence without awareness, that's where we're getting in trouble. That's where things go left, y'all. I mean, really left. That's where the spirit of maybe I should sit this one out just leaves the building entirely, maybe even the whole planet, because she opens her mouth and what comes out is not matching, not blending, not finding the note, not even circling the note like it might land there eventually. No, ma'am, it was like the note said, I don't know her, and kept walking. hmm And you can see it. That's the part that makes it so wild. You can see it happening in real time live. Jewel is doing her thing, okay? Holding it together, staying professional because that's what professionals do. They don't break, they don't stop the show, they don't turn around and say, girl, what are you doing? Even though you know that thought had to cross her mind for just a second. I mean, don't try and mimic somebody when you're on stage. Come on, y'all. So Jessica is just committed, fully committed to the whole bit. Like if I keep going, maybe it will fix itself. Maybe the note will come find me. Maybe the harmony will magically appear. And guess what? It never does. It just keeps going and going. And you're sitting there watching, like when somebody trips, but they don't fall all the way. So now it's just, for longer than it should be. That's what this felt like. Stretched out, live, no edits, no saving it in a post. No, we'll fix it later. This is happening right now in front of everybody. And the audience, oh, the audience, let me tell you, they're doing that thing where they don't know whether to clap, laugh, or just stare. And that silence, that quiet confusion, that are we hearing the same thing kind of energy? Like, yeah, that was thick in the room. And the reason this hits so hard, the reason this is such a what the fork moment is not just because it sounded off. We've all heard off before. Okay, come on now. We've all been in church when somebody got a little too excited and missed their note. We've all been in the car singing loud and wrong with our whole chest. Come on. That's not the issue. The issue is the setting, the level, the expectation. Because when you step on stage like that, next to somebody like Jewel, you are expected to know where you're going vocally. You're expected to bring something that at least sits in the same neighborhood, maybe. Yeah. And instead, what we got was somebody knocking on the wrong door in a completely different zip code. And it didn't stop. That's the other part. It wasn't corrected. It didn't pivot. It didn't say, okay, let me back up and let her have this. No, it just kept pushing forward like confidence alone was going to carry the whole thing. I mean, all the way across the finish line, right? Oh, no, baby. No, no, no. It did not. And I think that's why this moment stuck the way it did. Because it wasn't me. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't even scandal. It was just one of those pure, unfiltered human moments where you realize, oh, not everybody in the room is hearing what they think they're hearing. And that right there will humble you quickly because we've all had a version of that in our own lives, right? Maybe not on stage, or maybe so. Maybe not with cameras rolling, but you had that moment where you thought you were doing something, you felt good about it, you were all in. And then later, you look back and you go, oh no, that's what that was. And it hits different, don't it? It really does. And that's why people still talk about this. That's why it still gets brought up because it lives in that space between funny and uncomfortable and unforgettable. And you can't even be mad about it. You just kind of sit there and go, well, that happened. And there ain't no taking it back. And the crazy part is moments like this don't end careers. They don't destroy everything. They just become part of the story, part of the timeline. That one clip that follows you around forever. And I'm sure Jewel will be telling all of her grandkids about, you know what, that crazy lady? Just kidding. So every time somebody sees it, they have that same reaction all over again, like it's brand new. I can't watch it twice. I won't watch it twice because the first time I'm rolling so hard, the second time I won't be able to breathe. I'm sorry. Don't try and mimic somebody else while you're singing their song, especially when they're standing right next to you. This is not a comedy show, where we're doing impressions. This is two women standing on a stage being strong singing together, not acting like an idiot and sitting there waiting for the shoes to drop, I'm sorry. That's the way I feel, and that's just how there is. Like, they already know what was coming because you keep thinking, maybe this time it'll land. Maybe this time it'll line up. And it never freaking does. And that right there, that is a true what the fork moment, if you ask me. Because it reminds you that even in space full of professionals, even on stage built for perfection, you are still dealing with real people, real instincts, real decisions happening in real time. And sometimes those decisions go all the way to the left or the right, whichever direction you're not heading, and they take us with them. And all you can do is watch. Maybe blink a couple of times and say, no, Satan, not today. I say that on the daily, I think. Did I say that out loud? Pardon me. Just kidding. All right. So, we're not done. No, we are not done. We are done with these two, but we are not done. We have yet another story here. So let me tell y'all something about this one. You already know. This right here, this is one of those moments where, first, where I want to jump through the screen and just whip the piss out of that boy. You know why? Don't touch Riri. Just don't. Yes, I love Rihanna. Yes, I do. No, I don't like him. So look, this is one of those moments where the music stops and the reality hits so loud. You can't even hear the song anymore. And I need to say this right away because this is not messy tea. This is not petty. This is not, oh girl, did you hear? No, that's not what I'm doing. This was a full stop, breath out, stomach drop kind of moment for the entire world because we're talking about Chris Brown and Rihanna back in 2009. And if you were outside at that time, if you were listening to music, watching videos, following anything even close to pop culture, you remember exactly how fast everything shifted because up until that point, they were that couple. young, talented, beautiful, rising at the same time. Everything looked it was glossed over. It was perfect. Everything looked like industry. The industry had stamped it and said, "Yes, this is it. Yes." That went overnight. I mean, overnight. Everything cracked wide open. And what came out of that was not a rumor, not speculation, not we think. It was real. It was documented. It was in your face, and people didn't know how to process it because we were not used to seeing something like that attached to somebody who was still very much in their prime, still very much on the radio, still dancing across our screens like nothing could touch them. And that's where it gets heavy because the question that sat in everybody's chest was not just what happened. It was, how do we hold this? How do we separate the music from the moment? And how do we like him again? Personally, that's my only question. How can you like him at all? I've seen the pictures, and no, I can tell you this right now. I will not put one of those up today because she's gorgeous and he's trash. My opinion, my show. So this, how do we keep dancing to a song when we know something this serious exists behind it? And people handled that differently. Some pulled back immediately. Some tried to ignore it. I did at first, but you know what? I'm a woman, so I couldn't. Don't hit a woman. I don't care how pissed off she makes you. Because believe me, I've crossed those lines. But I also know not to hit a man because I'm putting myself in a man's position. So, that goes both ways. Pardon me, I'm parched. So, some said, I'm done completely. And others were stuck in that uncomfortable middle, like, I don't even know what to do with this. And that tension right there, that's the part that people don't always talk about because it's easier to pick a side than it is to sit in confusion, right? And meanwhile, Rihanna, let's talk about her for a second, okay? Because what made this even more of what the fork moment was not just what happened, it was what came after. Because she did not disappear. She did not shrink. She did not let that moment define the rest of her story. And that doesn't mean it didn't hurt. That doesn't mean it didn't leave marks. It wasn't something she had to walk through in her own time, But what we watched over the years was somebody rebuild in real time. That's the bad part about being a celebrity. Everybody knows your business. And even when it's not loudly at first, not with big speech, not with a look at me now, but slowly, steadily, song by song, era by era, stepping back into her power in a way that felt earned. And you could feel the shift. You could feel the control come back. The narrative change from something that happened to her to something she moved through. And that's a different kind of strength. That's not the flashy kind. That's the quiet kind that shows up later when people expect you to be broken. And instead, you're building something bigger than what tried to break you. And that's why this moment sits so differently than the others, because it's not just shock value. It's not just, did you see that? It's the weight of knowing that behind every headline is a real person dealing with real consequences that don't turn off when the cameras do. And at the same time, the industry keeps moving. The songs keep playing. The charts keep updating. And you're sitting there as a fan trying to reconcile all of it at once, trying to figure out where you stand, what you support and what you don't. And that's uncomfortable. That's messy. That's definitely not something you wrap up in a neat little bow by the end of the segment, And maybe that's the point. Maybe some moments aren't supposed to feel resolved. Maybe some moments are there to remind you that, hey, the people behind the music are human first, flawed, complicated, capable of both incredible art and serious harm. And that duality, whew, that'll make you pause real quick. And I think that's why, even all these years later, this still comes up. Not because people want to relive it, but because it marked a shift in how we look at artists, how we talk about accountability, hey, how we separate or don't separate the art from the person. And there is no one answer. There never has been. Everybody walks that line differently, but what we can say, what we can acknowledge without dancing around it, is that this was one of those undeniable what the fork moments in music history where everything changed in an instant and nothing went back to being exactly the same after that. And sometimes the loudest thing about a moment like that isn't the headlines or the commentary or even the back and forth. Sometimes it's the silence that follows when everybody realizes this is bigger than the music and you can't unsee it once you've seen it. It just doesn't happen that way. Yeah, I feel bad for her, but think about it, because we see her now, right? And she's great and she's doing good and she's got beautiful children and a beautiful life ahead of her. You got to be proud of her. It looks like, I don't know, Chris, I don't follow him because of this incident. Yes, there are fans out there that I can guarantee you are just like me that won't listen to that person's music because of that thing. Or, it's just like somebody not wanting to be on TikTok because of something, I don't know, or, political things, religion, things like that. I have a firm belief, don't touch a woman. I'm 54 years old. That's how I was brought up. And I'm never going to change my mind on that one. And it ain't this, you can't teach old dog new tricks kind of thing. It's what I feel in my heart. And there are a lot of people out there that felt the same way. Can you imagine how much he lost and she gained? So, look, what you take back, that's your own business, right, Riri? Yeah. Because she took it back and she flew with it. And she is so beautiful and happy and has so much going for her and her family. I say, Riri won. Yeah. We are going to come right back. I'm going to take my little break. I'll be right back.
She came from the quiet storms, built a fire from the ground, turned a whisper to a warning. Now her voice shakes the town. Every setback was a lesson, every doubt became a key, unlocking something bigger. That's the rise of Boss B. When the lights go low, her vision hits high. She built a whole damn network off a promise and a try. Every sunrise, every moment, she's stacking legacy. This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV. Boss B rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss B rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's the queen of the comeback, the storm in the stream, crafting stories out of heartbreak. TV dynasty. Boss be rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's got fire in the head, it's got truth in the frame. Got a heart that won't retire and a gift you can't name. Every loop, every letter, every dream she sets free. It's a love note to the world sign. Boss beat. And the world keeps watching as the numbers climb, but she's counting all the moments, not the dollar signs. From the late night grind to the daylight scene, she's building something bigger than the algorithm's dream. Boss be rising, BBTV shining. Her story's rewriting a legacy in real time. Boss be rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. BBTV, where the stories breathe. BBTV, where the dreamers believe. Boss be rising, watch her take her place. This is BBTV, this is her grace.
All right, y'all, we are back, and my light is doing that thing again. All right, we're good. Forget it. Okay, back to it, because we got two more that I want to talk about. So hold on a minute, because this one right here, this is not your usual what the fork, right? This is the kind that starts off looking the way, or one way, and then just keeps peeling back layers until you're sitting there like, how did we let this go on this long? Y'all gonna know who I'm talking about, I'm sure. Yep, the very one. How did this turn into that? Because when we talk about R. Kelly, you cannot just point to one moment. You can't. It doesn't work like that, okay? This is a whole timeline of, wait, what? Stacked on top of, you got to be kidding me. Stacked on top of, no, ma'am, this is not okay. And the wild part is, it didn't hit everybody at the same time. It didn't. Some people caught on early. Some people heard whispers. Some people saw things and said something ain't right. And then there were others. And they let's be real, a lot of others who were still pressing play, still singing along, still stepping in the name of love, like nothing in the background was shaking. And that's where it gets uncomfortable, because the music was everywhere. It was weddings. It was cookouts, radio, charts. It was that voice that you knew the second it came on. And right alongside that was this growing cloud of allegations and stories that just would not sit right, no matter how much people tried to ignore it. And I remember that feeling, that weird split where on one side you've got this catalog that people grew up on, and on the other side you've got these questions that just keep getting louder and heavier. And then there comes Trapped in the Closet. And baby, let's talk about that for a second, because even that by itself had folks confused. Chapters on chapters, characters popping in and out, drama stacked on drama. People standing around in towels talking about closets and secrets, and you sitting there like, is this genius or is this madness? What exactly am I watching right now? Because it pulled you in. You know it did. You kept watching like, okay, now what? Now what? Did it with Diddy too. Still doing it, most of you. And no, we ain't talking about him today. I'll get into him one of these days. He'll be a whole show. And at the time, people treated it like entertainment. Like this wild, over-the-top musical soap opera. But in hindsight, it's different. Because now you're looking at the whole picture and realizing that what felt strange was just one piece of something much bigger that people were either not ready for or chose not to face. And then fast forward and everything starts coming out louder, clearer, undeniable in a way that you can't just brush off anymore. Documentaries, testimonies, voices. Yeah. That had been pushed to the side, finally getting heard. And that's when the entire conversation shifts from this is weird to this is serious. And you start seeing people pull back hard. Music getting removed from playlists, conversations changing tone, because now it's not about separating art from artists. It's some abstract way. It's about accountability. It's about impact, about the real people behind those stories. And that's where the weight of it hits, because this is not one of those moments where you laugh at it. It's one of those moments where you look back and ask yourself, what did we miss? And what did we ignore? What did we excuse because the music was good? And that question right there will sit with you. It will forever, because it forces you to look at how culture moves, how things can hide in plain sight when there's enough success, enough fame, enough noise around it. And then when it finally breaks open, it feels like it all happened at once, even though it didn't. It was building piece by piece by piece, year by year. And when it finally reached that point, there was no going back, no rewriting it, no pretending it was just rumors. And that's why this lands as one of the biggest what the fork moments in history. Because it's not just shock. It's realization. It's that moment where the room gets quiet and everybody understands at the same time that, this is bigger than entertainment, bigger than charts, bigger than nostalgia. And once you see it for what it is, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to hearing those songs the same way. You can't separate it cleanly, no matter how hard you try, unless you're just like him. And that's the part that stays. That's the part that lingers long after the headlines fade, because it changed how people think about the industry, about fame, about what gets protected and what gets ignored. And it also reminds you in a way that's not comfortable, not easy, not quick to move past, that sometimes the real what the fork isn't what happened in the moment. It's how long it took for everybody to finally say, that's enough. Yeah, I can tell you that was enough. Yeah, I'm going to be nice. Let's load up this next one, because I do have one more. Although these probably should have been on Petty, but, I got to rep my girl here. So, these two. You know, hold on, because this right here, this is one of those moments where you don't even realize you're about to witness history until it's already happening in your face. And baby, when it happened, it was quick, it was sharp, and it was loud without anybody raising their voice, because we're talking about the VMAs, right? Live television, big stage, big energy, everything moving like it's supposed to. Performances, applause, people clapping, smiling, doing what they do. And Nicki Minaj is up there handling her business, owning her moment like she has always does, confident, controlled. You know that energy where she's not just performing, she's commanding. And everything feels normal until it doesn't, until that shift happens. And believe me, shift happens. Yeah, I know I'm corny. Can't help myself. Look, if you've ever been in a room when energy changes, oh, I'm sorry, just 1 second. My computer's trying to do silly things now. Yep. I'm sorry. I don't know why this computer does this. I'm going to have to get a new one, I guess. So, yeah, Nicki is up there. She's handling her business, owning her moment like she always does, confident, controlled. That energy where she's not just performing, she's commanding, and everything. I mean, everything feels normal until it doesn't, until that shift. And if you ever been in a room when energy changes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't even need words yet. You just feel it. And Nicki pauses just enough, just long enough. And then she says it. Miley, what's good? And listen. The way that sentence landed, it wasn't loud. It wasn't drawn out. It wasn't messy. It was clean, direct. And it cut straight through that whole room like a knife through butter. Because now everybody is locked in, not blinking, not breathing. Kind of reminds me of Will Smith. Because we all just realized at the same time, oh, this is not scripted. This is real. We are watching something unfold right now with no safety net. And the camera, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They swung over to Miley, and there she is sitting there, smiling, but not smiling, trying to hold it together, but you can see it in her face. That split second of, wait, are we doing this right now? Because there is no prep for that. There's no training for somebody calling you out live on stage in front of millions of people with nowhere to go, nowhere to hide, nowhere to press press pause and stop and gather yourself, okay? The audience went into that quiet shock mode. That do we react or do we just watch kind of silence? Just like when Will did what he did, because nobody wanted to miss what was about to happen next. And here's the thing. This didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't. There was already tension. There were comments made, interviews, little things said that built up over time. And instead of letting it sit in the background like people usually do, instead of keeping it cute and professional and saving it for later, Nicki said, nope, we're going to address this where everybody can see it. And that right there is bold. That's not petty for the sake of being petty. That's intentional. That's somebody choosing the moment and standing in it. And you can feel that confidence, that certainty. Like she knew exactly what she was doing and when she was going to do it. And Miley, let's talk about her side, because that's a tough spot. It really is. Because you are now part of the moment, whether you signed up for it or not. And you've got to respond in real time with cameras zoomed in, crowd watching, social media already lighting up before the sentence was even finished. Everybody's clipping that stuff. And you can see her try to keep it together, try to answer, try to stay composed. But that energy had already shifted. It was no longer a regular awards show moment. It became something else entirely. Something raw, something real, something that cut through all the polish and reminded everybody watching that behind all the lights and the production and rehearsals, you are still dealing with real people who have real feelings and real reactions. And sometimes those reactions don't wait for the right setting. Okay. Sometimes they show up exactly where they are not supposed to. And that's what makes this such a strong What the Fork moment, because it broke that invisible rule, that rule that says we keep things behind the scenes. We smile on stage, we handle business later. And Nicki said, not today, not here, not like that. And the ripple effect. Oh, the ripple effect was immediate. Clips everywhere, like I said, conversations popping off, people picking sides like immediately, debating whether it was right, wrong, necessary, unnecessary. But no matter what side you were on, you were talking about it. You were replaying it. You were analyzing the one sentence like it held a whole story behind it. Because in a way, it did. It represented something bigger than just those two in that moment. It represented how fast things can shift when somebody decides to stop playing by the rules. And that's the part that sticks. Not just the words, but the feeling, that sudden snap from celebration to confrontation, that reminder that live means live. Anything can happen, anything can be said. And once it's out there, you can't pull it back. You can't edit it. You definitely can't soften it. It lives exactly how it happened. And I think that's why people still remember it so clearly, because it felt unscripted in a world that is usually very scripted. It felt honest in a space that is usually very controlled. And whether you loved it, hated it, or just sat there with your mouth open trying to process it, you knew you had just watched one of those moments that people are going to bring up years later and still have the same reaction. That same, I remember that. I couldn't believe she said that, because it wasn't about volume. It wasn't about drama for the sake of drama. It was about timing, presence, and the willingness to say something out loud that most people would have kept tucked away. Hey, that right there, that's the kind of moment that shifts a room, an entire room. It shifts an entire show and locks itself into music history as a true What the Fork, because all it took was 5 words and everything changed. Crazy, right? Now, see, this is the part right here where you just kind of you sit with it for a second, right? And because after everything we just walked through, you start to realize something. It's not just about the shock. It's not just about the headlines or the clips or the did you see that? It's about how fast things can change in real time, how one moment can shift everything, how one decision, just one sentence, one action can follow somebody for the rest of their career. And that's the part that makes these What the Fork moments hit a little different, because behind every single one of them is a real person who had to wake up the next day and keep going, whether the world was cheering, judging, confused, or all of the above. And if nothing else today should remind you that perfection is an illusion, especially in this industry, on these stages, because no matter how rehearsed it is, no matter how polished it looks, you are always one moment away from everything going left. And sometimes that moment turns into something unforgettable for all the right reasons, and sometimes it don't. And that's just the truth of it. But here's the thing. We watch, we react, we talk about it, but we also learn from it. We see the humanity in it, the flaws, the growth, the consequences, all of it wrapped up together. And that's why we keep coming back to these stories, not just to laugh or shake our heads, but to understand the people behind the music a little bit better. And darn it, look, if today's didn't have you saying, what the fork at least, and I don't know what will, but I do know this. We're going to keep these conversations going. We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it honest. And we're definitely going to keep calling it like we see it. Bro, I don't know who bro is, but I'm talking to lots of people right now because I am live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, and a few more I'm sure I got in there too. Thanks for being here. Sorry you showed up at the end because, yep, it is the end. And you know what? I did it. I called it like I said it. Y'all already know what it is, okay? Y'all get over there to Tuber Chat. Give them some support, please. Get over to the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe. There will be a show tonight. Big Jack is in the house. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be there. Or you're square. Something like that. Buzz you later.
I want to take a minute to shout out Tuber Chat. If you're a creator who's tired of surface level advice, and actually wants to understand how YouTube works, that's the space. It's real conversations with real creators who are in the trenches, building channels, testing ideas. No posturing, no gatekeeping, no fake guru energy, just people sharing what's working, what isn't, and why.
If you're serious about growing, learning, and not doing this alone, check out Tuber Chat. The link is in the description. If you're enjoying this show, subscribing is the easiest way to support what's being built here on BBTV. You'll see the join button right next to subscribe. No pressure, no expectations, just an option for people who want to support the channel in a real way. We're live every day at 3 p.m. Central now. And don't worry, we didn't change the heat, just the clock. And if you've got a story you want to share, send it in. Anonymous is always fine.
Boss be right.